What if the world you're experiencing right now is not reality, but a compressed, filtered projection of something vastly more intricate? Not metaphorically, scientifically, philosophically, and perhaps even deliberately. Because, consider this, the human eye detects less than 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum. And your hearing captures only a narrow band between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. By the way, guys, I'm in disguise today. I'm not trying to be caught by the CIA, so they're not going to find out. And no, I'm not AI. Everything beyond that, silence, darkness, non-existence, at least to you. So when you say, this is reality, what you really mean is, this is all I'm capable of perceiving. And those are not the same thing. As the great philosopher William Blake once wrote, if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite. But what if those doors aren't just closed? What if they're engineered? There was a man named Itzhak Bentov, not a household name by any stretch, not someone paraded across mainstream science, but a man who dared to describe reality not as a collection of objects, but as a singular omnipresent field of consciousness, a holographic matrix, a totality where every fragment contains the whole. Now just pause there. Because if reality is holographic, then separation is not fundamental, it's perceptual. And this guy Bentov proposed that existence unfolds across multiple strata. At the physical level, we appear distinct. Separate bodies, separate locations, defined edges, but ascend one layer higher to what he called the soul level, and those edges begin to dissolve. Overlap emerges and interconnection intensifies. Climb higher still to the domain of the higher self, and individuality becomes increasingly ambiguous, less you and me and more of a continuum. And at the apex, total convergence. A state where everything overlaps everything else, where omnipresence is not mystical rhetoric, but structural reality. In other words, your sense of being a separate entity may be an elegant illusion, a biological interface, not the truth of existence. But Bentov didn't stop at metaphysics, he brought it into the body. Through meticulous observation, he discovered that the human heart generates rhythmic pulses that travel up the spine and into the brain. These are microscopic movements measured in fractions of a millimeter. Yet these oscillations synchronize with the body's electromagnetic field, which according to modern research, extends several feet beyond the body. And even more astonishing, these oscillations appear to mirror frequencies found throughout nature, from atomic vibrations to planetary rotations and more. Is this coincidence or is it coherence? Because Bentov believed it was the latter. It was a cosmic entrainment system, a feedback loop where the individual and the universal field merge. And this leads to a staggering proposition. The human body is not merely biological machinery. I mean, this hair doesn't grow so easy, you know. It is a resonant instrument, a finely tuned apparatus designed to interface with reality itself. And if that's true, then consciousness is not confined to the brain. It is something the brain receives, like a signal, a frequency. And as Nikola Tesla, the great physicist, once hinted, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So what happens when the frequency shifts? Well, suddenly phenomena that were once dismissed begin to look different. Visions, apparitions, moments of heightened perception. Are these malfunctions of the mind or are they expansions of it? Bentov suggested something deeply controversial. Here it is. That in certain cases, individuals labeled as unstable may actually be experiencing a widening of the perceptual bandwidth, a spontaneous opening. Because your nervous system doesn't just detect reality, it constructs it, it selects for it, it filters, and then it interprets. And if that filter changes, well, your reality changes. Now, here's where the narrative takes a more disquieting turn, because these ideas didn't remain obscure. In 2003, a declassified CIA document surfaced, and it was a 29-page report known as the Gateway Process. Some of you have heard of Gateway. It's associated with Robert Monroe and, of course, our friend Tom Campbell. Now, at first glance, it reads like a technical analysis, but beneath all that sterile language, there's something very interesting. It describes the human body as an oscillating system, and it discusses consciousness as something that can extend beyond space and time. Now, if you've watched my channel long enough, you know I think that's entirely true. That's how remote viewing works. But it also outlines methods for accessing non-ordinary states of perception through controlled resonance. And then it goes even further. I'm talking about remote viewing here. The ability to perceive distant locations without physical presence. The projection of awareness beyond the body. Even the potential to access information across time. And this wasn't framed as speculation. It was treated as capability, as utility, as something worth studying and potentially deploying. Because once you accept that perception can be expanded, you must also accept that it can be engineered. And this is where everything converges. Because in the modern world, we are surrounded by systems designed not to control us overtly, but to shape the way that we see it. Every algorithm, every feed, every curated stream of information, they are not neutral, they are perceptual architectures. So consider this. Studies have shown that algorithmic adjustments in search results or news feeds can influence user behavior and opinion by up to 20 to 40%, often without the individual ever realizing it. It's not through force, but through framing, through emphasis and omission. Because your brain does not passively observe reality, it more or less predicts it. Neuroscience suggests that as much as 90% of perception is generated internally based on prior experience and expectation. So you're not seeing the world as it really is to see. You're seeing the world as your brain predicts it to be. So what happens when those predictions are suddenly manipulated? Well, you don't just change thoughts, you change experience reality. So you have two individuals. They could have the same physical environment, completely different interpretations, different truths, different worlds. And both are absolutely convinced they are correct. Because the most sophisticated form of influence is actually invisible. It doesn't coerce, it calibrates. It introduces just enough noise, just enough contradiction to destabilize certainty. And it also offers a narrative, some type of structure or resolution. And the mind, desperate for coherence, grabs onto it. Now scale that across billions of people, across multiple platforms, across systems that learn, adapt, and refine. And by the way, these systems are getting smarter and smarter. So you realize you don't really have influence, you have environmental conditioning and a reality that feels organic, but is subtly orchestrated. And here's the most unsettling part. The system doesn't need to control everyone, just enough people, enough of the time to shift the trajectory. Because reality at scale is truly probabilistic. And if that's true, then the question isn't just what is real, the question is, who is shaping the probabilities of what becomes real? But there is another side to this, because if your perception can be influenced externally, it can also be reclaimed internally. If your body is a resonant instrument, then you are not merely a passive receiver. You are a participant, a tuner, a modulator of experience. And perhaps the reason so many people feel a growing sense of unease these days, that something is off, and I've made videos about it, that something just doesn't quite align, is because on some level, they're beginning to perceive the distortion, the filtering, the shaping, not consciously, but more intuitively. And intuition, as Einstein once said, is the only real valuable thing. So maybe the path forward isn't to consume more information, but to refine perception, to question the inputs, to observe the patterns, to recognize the difference between what is shown and what is. Because if reality is a signal, then awareness is the tuning mechanism. And the final question becomes unavoidable. Are you experiencing reality, or a version of it that's been carefully constructed for you? And if it is the latter, do you have the awareness to change the frequency? That, my friends, is the video. If you like these formats, let me know. Say in the comments section what you like and what you don't like. I will try to make the videos based around that. All right. See you tomorrow. Subliminal.